Tonight, 2 weeks to go.
You're going to have a red wave like you've never seen before.
And less than 48 hours until the final presidential debate. Now with a mute button.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And both sides of the aisle now say they want a coronavirus relief bill.
Nancy Pelosi at this moment does not want to do anything that's going to affect the election.
Plus, the Justice Department slaps Google with an antitrust lawsuit that's sure to shake up the tech industry. And a first in space. NASA collects space dust off an asteroid and brings it back down to Earth. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Record early turnout with exactly 14 days to go. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup. Well, tens of millions of votes already cast, showing voters' enthusiasm prevailing over concerns about the pandemic. And while many polls show President Trump trailing Joe Biden in key battleground states, the big question, could that change, especially now as the former vice president lays low to prepare for the final debate while President Trump crisscrosses the country? Joining me now, CBN News White House correspondent Ben Kennedy. Ben, you've got the latest details?
Yeah, John, turns out more than 30 million Americans have already voted in person. Early voting kicked off today in Utah, Hawaii, and in Wisconsin as the pandemic continues to be a main issue.
People are pandemicked out. You know that? They're pandemicked out.
At a rally in Tucson, Trump went on the attack against Biden, who remained off the campaign trail again Tuesday, reaching out to voters via Twitter, writing, "The simple, sad truth is that this president is not in office to serve the American people. He's in it to serve himself." Biden's team warned to supporters not to underestimate Trump or his ability to claw his way back after trailing in recent polls.
We're supposed to be way behind until Election Day when all the Republicans go, and you're going to have a red wave like you've never seen before.
The two face off in the final debate Thursday in Nashville. The Commission on Presidential Debates announcing a new rule that during the 2 minutes provided for each candidate to answer a question, the other candidate's microphone will be muted to cut down on interruptions that dominated the first debate. Crosstalk will be allowed in other portions.
That's on the ballot as well.
Now, Biden's campaign says he's in debate prep until Thursday. President Trump will be in Pennsylvania tonight and then in North Carolina tomorrow for campaign rallies. John?
All right, CBN White House correspondent Ben Kennedy. Thanks, Ben. Well, the clock is ticking for millions of Americans financially devastated by the pandemic. Today, President Trump said he would go even bigger on a coronavirus relief bill than the Democrats' $2.2 trillion proposal. This against the backdrop of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's ongoing talks with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin for a stimulus package. But that window is quickly closing. CBN's Tara Mergener has more on where things stand. Tara?
Speaker Pelosi has given White House negotiators until day's end to finalize language on a stimulus offer now estimated to be worth $2.4 trillion. If no deal is reached by then, don't expect anything before the election and possibly the new year.
We're having the vaccines coming out very soon. With or without the vaccines, we're rounding the turn, but we have the vaccines coming out very soon.
This morning, President Trump optimistic about the timeline for a coronavirus vaccine. But millions of Americans need a financial injection from the government.
I'm afraid of being homeless. I'm afraid of losing everything I have.
It's a terrible time for everyone. I mean, there's not enough of anything anymore.
And the House Speaker remains firm that the chance for another round of relief before the election is now or never.
From the start, the president has never taken this seriously, and neither has Mitch McConnell.
Both sides are arguing over hundreds of millions of dollars and key provisions like funding for state and local governments and plans for a national testing program. Most of the stimulus measures previously passed by Congress expired over the summer.
I sold my motorcycle, I sold couches, chairs, bookshelves, like mirrors, everything that was in my house, I've sold.
The president, who called off talks earlier this month, is telling Republicans to go big and blaming Democrats for the holdup during a weekend rally in Phoenix.
Pelosi at this moment does not want to do anything that's going to affect the election?
Meanwhile, Senator Mitch McConnell holding a vote today on a standalone paycheck protection program to help small businesses and put a roughly $500 billion proposal on the Senate floor tomorrow, similar to the one Democrats rejected this summer. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
All right. Thank you, Tara. Well, joining us now, our special guest, Ray Suarez, host of World Affairs on Public Radio and the Washington reporter for Euronews. Ray, thanks for being with us. It's always great to see you. Let's talk about where Tara just left off. The clock is ticking on a stimulus deal. Any chance we get one before Election Day?
Well, thank goodness Tara mentioned Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, because the president seems kind of allergic to mentioning him at all. And while faulting the House Speaker for not wanting to go big and for setting up roadblocks, the president doesn't at all mention that his own party's Senate Majority Leader wants to go small and wants to make the future package, if one can be hammered out before Election Day, as small as possible because of concerns about the impact on the deficit. Make no mistake, it's not Nancy Pelosi who's standing in the way of a relief deal at this point.
Speaking of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he says the Senate will vote on Monday to confirm Amy Coney Barrett's Supreme Court nomination. Ray, could this throw a wrench in any near-term stimulus deal?
I'm not sure. I think the things, those two issues, certainly in the majority leader's mind, but also on the American public's mind and the president's mind, operate on separate and independent tracks. There's nothing that would delay the Senate from getting to okaying a stimulus deal while still voting to confirm this latest Supreme Court justice.
And your take, the incentive for Republicans, I know Republicans in the Senate, they're mostly against any kind of extra funding for coronavirus stimulus. How is the president supposed to get there if Republicans in his own conference aren't willing to spend more money?
This is one of the most confounding political stories of an already bizarre election season, that either party would put any impediments in the way of getting a deal done when so much is riding on it for so many American families. I mean, heck, pollsters ask year after year, right track, wrong track. Are you better off than you were before? This is something that goes to the heart of the solvency of American families, whether people can pay their rent, whether they can pay their utility bills, whether they can buy groceries. And the holdup seems to just be hung up on politics that's hard to explain from either party's benefit or either party's point of view. It's just amazing that this hasn't been done yet.
Switching gears here, Ray, the presidential debate, the final one is set to take place in less than 48 hours, and you can watch the debate live Thursday night on our website and across all CBN News platforms. Ray, one major change this time around, the candidates will be muted during the other's response to a question. What do you think about the mute button? Good idea or bad idea?
Well, we'll see how it works in practice. It sounds like a pretty tall order for whoever's going to be controlling that button. And, you know, people accuse we journalists, John, of never being able to admit when we were wrong. When this first came up, I said because every part of the debate format has to be approved by both sides before the Commission on Presidential Debates moves ahead with it, the mute button will never happen, because I thought that's one thing that the Trump campaign would never agree to the existence of. Well, here I am, admitting I was wrong. If this is really going to happen, I'll be interested in seeing how it's used in practice, because both sides are going to say, I wasn't interrupting and you cut me off.
Right.
It's not going to be easily done in the moment, live, and beaming out to tens of millions of households.
Ray, that is a big admission. I appreciate it. Switching to the Biden campaign, they picked up some big endorsements. USA Today, with its first ever presidential endorsement, retired Navy Admiral William McRaven, who oversaw the Osama bin Laden raid, and former RNC chair Michael Steele. Ray, what's their effect on voters?
It's hard to know whether newspaper endorsements matter much anymore. I mean, cumulatively, certainly, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had vastly more endorsements from newspaper editorial boards, from former office holders than did Donald Trump. And while she finished ahead in the popular vote, it didn't make her president. She didn't get to the Oval Office. I think it's been clear for some time that sort of the institutional establishment in the United States is ready to say, yes, bring on Joe Biden. Even a lot of Republicans who are former office holders in Republican administrations are endorsing the former vice president. That may not matter when it comes time to head to the polls for everybody and for the time to count those votes. But it is revealing that a man like William McRaven would endorse Joe Biden and endorse a Democratic candidate for president at all in a public way. The number of former military officials, both high up in the civilian ranks and high up in uniform, willing to come out and say, vote for Joe Biden, is a little surprising. It's more than a little surprising.
Ray, thank you so much. We are out of time. We'll have to get more from you the next time you show up.
Take care. Good to talk to you.
Likewise. Well, it has been more than 20 years since Washington took aggressive antitrust action against a major player in Silicon Valley. Today, the Justice Department did just that in a showdown that's been brewing with Google. The DOJ is suing the tech giant for antitrust violations. CBN's Heather Sells reports.
Google controls about 90% of global web searches. Most of its services are free in exchange for your personal information that Google uses to sell ads. While the web giant maintains it does not force people to use its services, the long-awaited Justice Department lawsuit maintains Google abuses its dominance in online search and advertising by stifling competition. The suit is backed by a growing belief on both sides of the political aisle that the government should do more to police the tech giants. Watch this 2018 exchange between Democrat Zoe Lofgren and Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
If you Google the word idiot under images, a picture of Donald Trump comes up. I just did that. How would that happen?
We tried to rank and find the best results for that query.
And this from Republican Jim Jordan.
Big tech's out to get conservatives. That's not a suspicion. That's not a hunch. That's a fact. July 20th, 2020, Google removes the homepages of Breitbart and the Daily Caller.
The CEOs of Twitter and Facebook may soon face their own Washington showdown. The Senate Judiciary Committee is considering subpoenas to force them to talk about bias against conservatives. This after Twitter blocked links to a New York Post story about alleged emails from Joe Biden's son Hunter.
This marks the first time big tech has ever directly tried to censor major media companies. The New York Post has the fourth highest circulation of any newspaper in America.
The Google lawsuit could potentially change how the search engine operates and create new openings for rivals. Or it could spur Congress to take legislative action. Most experts believe the case will take years, and that means whoever wins on November 3rd will appoint whoever ends up managing the suit. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thank you, Heather. Coming up, a new weapon to confront people preying on the most vulnerable among us. You're watching CBN's Faith Nation.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back. Today, the debut of a new crime-fighting tool. It's specifically aimed at human trafficking, and it's something both victims and advocates agree is desperately needed. CBN News national security correspondent Eric Phillips brings us a closer look. Eric?
Yeah, John, that new tool is the Department of Homeland Security Center for Countering Human Trafficking. First initiated back in January, Homeland Security officials are very pleased that it's up and running in less than a year because they say it will help them better monitor and prosecute human trafficking crimes.
My unfortunate story of being domestically trafficked was turned around when a law enforcement officer saw me not just with his eyes, but with his heart.
Trafficking survivor Tanya Gould spoke of the importance of aspects of law enforcement, such as this new center, to tackle the worldwide problem. Her story piercing the heart.
I will never forget when a buyer threw me out of his car in the middle of the DMV area. I was lost. I had no way of contacting anyone, and I had no identification on me. And it was in the middle of the night.
Acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf explained how the operation will combine various government resources under one powerful crime-fighting roof.
This integrated center will be the first of its kind. By aggregating these resources, the center will serve as a central hub for victim support, investigative operations, intelligence and data collection and analysis, and training and outreach of law enforcement partners, civil society, and the public.
To date, there's been a lot of piecemeal approaches. Many government departments are involved in one part or another of the crime, but without coordination, we will not be able to identify victims and bring justice to the perpetrators.
Eleanor Gayetan with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation says that's important given the heinous nature of this particular crime.
Drugs, you sell once and that's the transaction. With people, you sell them day after day, week after week, month after month, and they're still giving you profit and they're still being abused.
Back in January, the president said his administration is 100% behind targeting this crime.
Human traffickers prey on their most vulnerable citizens and people. They're vicious, they're violent. My administration is fighting these monsters, persecuting and prosecuting them, and locking them away for a very, very long time.
It's an issue those who help survivors say should be a priority for every believer.
As Christians rise up in this United States that we're privileged to be in, no longer will they call a man a John and a child a prostitute and put the child in jail and let the man walk away. Never again if Christians rise up.
Acting Secretary Wolf says 16 government components and DHS offices will be focused on making this new center work and making it succeed. John.
Thank you, Eric. When we come back, breaking down a key demographic ahead of the election, where Catholics stand on everything from the presidential candidates to the Supreme Court. After this.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Well, welcome back. Tonight, a new poll shows a majority of Catholics support fellow Catholic Joe Biden for president. They also support another Catholic, Judge Amy Coney Barrett, and her confirmation to the Supreme Court. 52% of Catholics support Joe Biden, while 4 in 10 support President Trump. That's according to a new poll from EWTN News and Real Clear Politics. As for the Supreme Court, 46% of Catholics say they support Judge Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation. Only 28% oppose. The rest say they need more information. Well, here now, Matthew Bunson, Executive Editor, and Washington Bureau Chief for EWTN News. Matthew, great to see you again. Matthew, Biden holds a substantial 12-point lead among Catholic voters, but that gap narrows significantly in the swing states. Matthew, how do things look in some of those battlegrounds?
Well, that's right. You've hit on something very important that we found also in our poll, and that is that in those key battlegrounds in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Florida, and elsewhere, the race narrows significantly to about a 4-point lead for Joe Biden, about 48 to 44. This mirrors in some ways some of the results in 2016 and is an indicator, I think, that the Trump campaign itself has managed to narrow the gap in some of those areas. That could be crucial in certain swing districts, especially in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Wisconsin. So that's something that we're keeping a very close eye on in the next 2 weeks.
Matthew, Catholics support Judge Barrett's nomination as well to the Supreme Court, but they seem to be split over whether a president should nominate a Supreme Court justice anytime during his or her 4-year term. Can you expound on that?
Well, that's right. About 48 to 43% Catholics actually favor a president being able to nominate and have confirmed a Supreme Court nominee at any time in their term. In other words, including in an election year. That's one of the key findings, I think, in terms of Amy Coney Barrett. As you noted, she is supported by a majority of Catholics, especially among independent Catholics. She has an 11-point favorability for her confirmation, about 39 points. And that's an indicator, I think, of sort of the broad support that Coney Barrett has among Catholic voters. The other aspect, too, is that Catholics are very concerned about things like religious tests. About 74% of Catholics support the constitutional limits placing a religious test on anyone being confirmed for government service, and that includes, of course, the judiciary.
I understand the poll cast a net on Catholics' opinion on a variety of issues. A two-part question for you. Where do Catholics show that they're most divided, and where are they most united?
Well, I think Catholics are very united on the key issue of religious liberty, as I was just noting with the Supreme Court. Catholics are very concerned about religious freedom issues. That plays out, of course, with the Coney Barrett confirmation battle. Areas, I think, where they are significantly divided, if you look at the results themselves, it's on the horse race. Catholics are divided among those who attend Mass or services regularly compared to those who don't. Those who do are much more likely to favor Donald Trump, and those who attend services or Mass at least once a year or even less frequently, they themselves tend to favor Joe Biden. So there is a gulf among Catholic voters. It's why we have to always be very careful about using any terminology sort of like the Catholic vote or the Catholic bloc.
In our few final seconds left, this is the fourth and final poll of Catholic voters ahead of the election. What most surprised you about the results in about 20 seconds or so?
Yeah, I think one of the most surprising results was just how divided Catholics are generationally, along ethnic lines, even geographically. But the biggest one was the sacramental life of Catholics, and also their prayer life. That is something that we're going to have to pay very close attention to in the coming years as that divide potentially expands even further.
All right, Matthew Bunson, EWTN News Washington Bureau Chief, thank you so much for your insights.
Very good to be with you.
Likewise. Well, coming up, NASA's biggest space haul from beyond the moon. Next on Faith Nation.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
And finally tonight, after nearly 2 years of circling an asteroid, NASA will attempt a rocky mission to collect rubble from its surface. The osiris-rex mission aims to bring at least 2 ounces from asteroid Bennu back to Earth, the first attempt of its kind in the United States. The spacecraft will hover over the Nightingale crater and use its arm and pressurized nitrogen to loosen and suck up particles to examine upon its return to Earth. The Empire State-sized asteroid swings by Earth every 6 years. And the more scientists learn about the potentially dangerous asteroid, the safer Earth is. Any successfully collected samples won't reach Earth for another 2 years, and we'll be watching and waiting for sure. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's Faith Nation. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you again tomorrow.